Hey everybody, this is Jose Blasco. We are ready to get started here in 30 seconds, 20 seconds actually. Sound check, everybody. Please go ahead and just type a quick hello message on the chat box so I know you hear my voice, and that way we'll be ready to start perfectly on time at the top of the hour. So sound check, everybody, please. Quick hello. Okay, so we just reached the top of the hour, and we'll maximize the introduction slide as I always do. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you very much, Leslie, for the confirmation. Let me come on the screen so I can say a proper hello to everybody. How are you, my friends? Happy Sunday. Happy get-together sharpening session for today. Today it's the 1st of March, so we are actually beginning the month. Again, today, it's all about spending a little bit of time taking advantage of the fact that the market is closed, so we can just, in a relaxed fashion, with no need for rush, look at everything around what we do in trading or investing. So we have the tools ready, our knowledge ready, etc., etc., etc. Okay, that's the plan for today. That's why we call it sharpening. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Before we start, as always, I'll read the disclaimer very quickly so we can begin. Disclaimers. The following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through a demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. And that's the disclaimer. Okay? Cool. We got it. The session is officially introduced. Okay. And as you see, as I am getting rid of the introduction slide, what you see on my screen is TradeStation. Okay. Let me take a look at the chat box first. Leslie, how are you? Mark, how is it going? Osman, nice to see you as well. Charles, Pansy, very nice to have you all here on the Sunday. It's always a special thing because obviously, in one hand, the weekend, sometimes, everybody's different. Sometimes you would think the weekend is a time where you have a lot of time, right? So it would be a perfect time to get together to sharpen our skills and get together. But the reality is that, I understand the effort that most of you probably are making to be in the sessions, especially if you do it live, because it's also family time. It's also, a resting time after probably an intense week. And the fact that you guys are here means a lot. Okay, so thanks for joining me, and let's have a good session all together. So the session today is about TradeStation. 2 weeks ago, we did a sharpening session, and we basically talked about trading view tips. And today I would kind of want to do the same thing with TradeStation because it seems that the session that we did 2 weeks ago was very useful to you guys. I did it because there were many questions sent to us in emails and so on that clearly suggested that I should conduct a session of that sort. But now that it seems that some of you have been watching that session, we've received requests to do something similar with TradeStation, and obviously we are here to help, and we are here to support you, and therefore we took your suggestion, and this is the plan for today. Okay, so we're gonna talk about TradeStation. This is gonna be let's call it a TradeStation tutorial, if you wish, but at the same time, of course, you have many TradeStation tutorial in YouTube. If you were to take a look at the YouTube channel that belongs to TradeStation itself, they have a huge collection of videos, okay, that go deep into every single feature. So this tutorial that we're gonna go through, and this time that we're gonna spend together, it's all about going kind of like straight to the point of what if you are a UFO trader using TradeStation. What is it that you need to know? What is it that you normally use? How do you set up your workspaces? How do you set up your things in order for you to be efficient, minimize problems, etc., etc., etc. Okay, that's the plan. And hopefully this helps because TradeStation is a very advanced platform. This is just personal preference. If I make this point I'm about to make, it's just personal preference. To me, is one of the best platforms out there. But at the same time, like everything in life, the more complex a software is or the more advanced is, it also sometimes has let's call it a tricky aspect of it on how to use it properly to do a good job when using it. Okay, so therefore there are multiple things that hopefully will open your eyes today as we go over best practices, tips and tricks with TradeStation as a UFO trader, and hopefully this will help you to be more efficient every day when you load a chart and you're ready to trade. Okay, that's the plan. In the meantime, of course, any question you have, okay, and it doesn't have to be related to TradeStation, feel free to type your questions. Okay, I'll be happy to take a look. I'll focus on TradeStation first, but then if you have questions about anything, it doesn't matter what. It could be the methodology, it could be risk management, it could be anything, you name it. Okay, so make sure you understand that even though I will start with TradeStation, today is sharpening, and therefore I am open to receive any question of any nature coming from you, and I'll be happy to work with you. Okay, Clive, it seems that you are frozen there. Everything is looking good on my end. Oh, you're back. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, good. So let's begin. Okay. Well, first of all, TradeStation. Let's talk about how it works. Okay, because there is a big difference if you think about 2 weeks ago when we talked about TradingView, and today when we talk about TradeStation, there is a big difference. And actually, there are many big differences between the two platforms. Okay, but the first big difference is that TradeStation is a platform given to you by a broker. And therefore, the only way to use TradeStation is to have a TradeStation account, where TradingView is a web service, which TradingView is not a brokerage firm, and therefore you can have a TradingView access for free, actually, as we learned 2 weeks ago. So that already by itself is a big difference. Okay, so keep that in mind. TradeStation is a broker. Now, as a broker, maybe a good starting point, because some of you may be utilizing TradeStation, some of you may not be utilizing TradeStation. So as a broker, TradeStation, you need to keep in mind that TradeStation is a broker that offers access to stock trading. Okay, so stock trading, options trading, futures trading. Okay, all sorts of futures, could be indexes, commodities, treasuries, etc. And then it offers access to Forex charts, not trading. Okay, you have the charts, so you could use TradeStation to plan your Forex trades, but you cannot execute. Okay, TradeStation is not a Forex broker. Okay, other markets such as indexes. Okay, so you can chart the VIX. You can chart the S&P 500 index, which is called the INX, etc., etc. Okay, so in other words, you got many markets. Okay, you got many markets inside TradeStation. Recently, actually, they even added cryptos. Okay, so you have cryptos, and actually, with cryptos is crypto trading. So you can actually trade cryptos with TradeStation. Okay, but the biggest point I would like to make here is that. Make sure you all understand that with TradeStation, you get Forex charts and Forex market data, but you could not execute trades in the Forex markets. Okay, so that's an important thing to keep in mind, because the fact that I could load the euro US dollar, for example, and you get to see the chart, doesn't mean that you could actually trade the euro US dollar. Okay, you can only work on planning the trades and analysis and so on. Okay. So first thing is the fact that TradeStation is a company which is a brokerage firm, and they offer all those different market datas and market execution that I just mentioned. Second thing, and this, by the way, depending on when you watch the video, okay, if you watch it recorded, okay, and you watch it 2 years from now, what I'm about to say may be totally different. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Today, as of March 1st, 2020, okay, what I'm about to say is valid. But in the future, you never know, because everything changes. If you think about what happened to the brokerage industry in 2019 in the US, it's a massive revolution where most brokers actually stopped charging commissions for a lot of the markets where we trade, right? Like stock market, the options markets. So many of those products have no commissions any longer. So you trade with no commission, and the only thing that the broker passes you is the exchange fees, okay, which are way lower than what the commissions used to be. Earlier, before 2019, the commissions were including those exchange fees. So maybe you would be charged 1 cent per share, or $1 every 100 shares if you trade stocks. And that $1 payment would include not only the commission for the broker, but also the exchange fees. Well, in this case, brokers the majority of brokers in the US, and this applies to TradeStation, they basically stopped charging commissions. Okay, I'm gonna bring the webpage of TradeStation so you will see exactly how it is. But it doesn't mean you trade for free. Okay, just keep that in mind, because it's sometimes it is a little bit of kind of a normal confusion, because I guess companies, when they market themselves, they try to simplify um, the way they express their things in their website, for people, especially if a person is new to trading, for people to kind of understand easily. But sometimes simplifying makes things to be incomplete, isn't it? So, for example, if you look at the TradeStation website, here on the top, at the beginning, it says $0 commissions, right? So next thing you know, of course, there is an asterisk. Okay, you saw the asterisk, and let me come back. There is the asterisk here, and the asterisk has a lot more meaning than the zero. But many times, I mean, I think we all do it, that sometimes we just stay at a surface level, and we don't bother to go read the fine print, which I guess we should, but sometimes we kind of skip it. Okay, so if you look at pricing, okay, and you look at how it works, this table I think explains it much better. Okay, and first, TradeStation makes a big separation between executing using the TradeStation platform, which is what I have right here on the screen. Okay, that's a big difference, executing with the platform versus executing with the TradeStation app, which is a mobile app that you install on your phone. Okay, and I don't know how many of you. Okay, I'm not sure how many of you, but I mean, certainly some of you have been part of the Survival to Mastery Forex in Action class, isn't it? I'm sure many of you have been. I'm just going to write it because it's a long name, and if you have not, you may be thinking, what is that? So, Survival to Mastery Forex in Action. Okay, so what is that? Well, that's a Forex class. Actually, we use Forex as an asset, but really it's a trading class that teaches you, how to approach trading in a very specific manner. And we run this class once a month, live online, and we also run this class in a self-paced format. And you can see that in our website, tradewithufos.com/join. Okay, probably you have seen it already. Okay, but basically in that class, okay, the point I want to make is that in that class, one of the things that I suggest, okay, I'm just noticing I have a round circle behind my head. It's quite funny to see, actually. So, what I was saying is that in that class, one of the things that we suggest is that when we trade, a very healthy practice is to utilize a computer screen with a trading platform such as TradingView or TradeStation to do the planning. And then when it comes to execution, in that class, I actually suggest to use a mobile app to do the execution. And if you never heard me talk about it, so I want to say why, because it's important. In this case, on top of that, it saves you commissions, which is a nice to have. But really, the reason why that's important is because trading is an emotional game. And somehow, by doing what I just said, which is to plan the trades on your computer screen and execute on your mobile phone, basically what you are tricking yourself. It's kind of like if you think of a big hedge fund, a large fund with traders and market analysts, right? So normally you would have a team of analysts looking for trade ideas and market opportunities. And those analysts, they would bring those ideas to the operation traders, okay, the execution traders, that they would basically execute those trades. And now, put yourself in the shoes of an execution trader that you are being given a trade instruction by the analyst. What would you do? Well, you just execute that trade instruction. There is no thinking about it or getting emotional, because it's not even your trade. You just do what you've been told to do, isn't it? So, and also think about the analyst. The analyst is planning the trade without using his own capital. He's just looking for a trade idea objectively, finds the idea, documents it, and bring it to the trader. So somehow this is a very relaxed type of job, where if you are trading your own money and you do everything on the same platform, then we all know trading can be very emotional, especially if you happen to be isolated at home and it's you and your computer and no one else, and you make a couple of mistakes and now you are in revenge mode, and all of these could be a recipe for problems, isn't it? So a little trick, okay, I'm not saying it's a magic formula, but it helps. So a little trick is to plan your trades either with TradeStation or TradingView on a large computer screen. And then when it comes to execution, then you turn around and you run your execution on the mobile app on your phone. And now you, because you have to change device, and it's kind of like, you isolate, you separate yourself, you turn around 180 degrees, and it really helps to cool down those emotions, to make sure that the inputs are correct, etc., etc. Okay, so okay, long story short, we do that, and that's a suggestion that I make all the time. Okay, of course, for the ones of you that want to execute very fast, you do a short-term intraday trading, your experience. Maybe you prefer to use the matrix on TradeStation. Okay, I'm going to show you what that is in a minute if you haven't seen it yet. But again, know that TSGO means the mobile app of TradeStation that you could install for Android phones or iPhones as well. And notice how the commissions are reduced. Okay, so for stocks and ETFs, okay, it's all zero. For stock options, okay, so basically it's 50 cents per contract. Okay, futures is 1.5 per contract, 0.85 if you do it the app. So it's a pretty big difference. Okay, but remember, on top of this, okay, if you read the fine print, then you will receive the exchange fees. Okay, well, the exchange fees is going to be like really very little amount of money. Is going to be pennies, but it depends on the exchange on where you were filled. You may want to buy Microsoft stock, and it's not the same that you get filled in in the Philadelphia exchange versus you get filled in another exchange in the US. Okay, so each exchange will have different exchange fees, and all of this is something that you need to know. Okay. Mark, I'm reading your comment. Yeah, that's very funny. I was looking at myself, and it's like, what? Yeah. How are you, Dave? Good to see you. So anyway, so back to TradeStation here. Okay, so TradeStation is a broker. That's a big difference, because for you to have access to TradeStation, you need to have a TradeStation account. Oh, by the way, I mentioned the commissions. Okay, let me see. Where would that be? Okay, yeah. So here they are looking at a minimum deposit of $2,000. Okay, but if you're okay with me sharing a little tip here, even though here on the page it says 2,000, and certainly it's officially documented, normal practices within TradeStation would typically imply that if what you want is a stock account, typically, they would take it if you provide 500, even though it says 2,000. Okay, and then I would say though that even though if you want to open an account for futures, okay, even though if you want to open an account for futures, they would take you with their requirement, which is 2,000. Okay, so I would say that unless you are trading micro e-minis, okay, 2000s is too small as a size of an account to trade futures, okay? Unless you trade the micro e-minis, which are those here, okay? So the micro e-minis is a different story because they are 10 times the size of the normal futures. And then, then 2000 is like, it would be like from a risk point of view, it would be equivalent to 20,000, which would be a very nice size to trade futures. Okay, I would say futures you can start with 5, 10,000, something like that is fine. Less than that, it's tight. Okay, so I would position myself, looking at the micro e-minis until you have the right size of funds to do this sort of trade. Okay, and also if you're going to be trading stock options, okay. Well, then you need to know something in the industry which is known as the PDT rule. Okay, so I'll write it down here. Okay, PDT. Okay, stands for Pattern Day Trader Rule. Okay, and the Pattern Day Trader Rule. Okay, it refers to day trading. Okay, and you may be, well, wait a minute, I don't want to use options for day trading. Okay, bear with me, because what happens in many option strategies? Many option strategies, for example, if you do an iron condor, okay, how many options you use at the same time? You use 4 units at the same time, okay? That's iron condor. If you do a spread, most spreads would be 2 units at the same time, okay? So option trades, okay, may imply multiple contracts used at the same time. Multiple contracts which are different. I'm not talking about the size, okay? You buy the same call, but you buy 10 of them. No, I'm talking about you buy 10 different calls. You buy 4 different calls. We call that units, right? So what's the issue with that? Well, if you were to enter an options trade with 4 units, but your account is not classified or approved as PDT, so what's the problem? The problem is that your order would be rejected. Okay, and why is that? Well, that's a rule that was placed out there in the market. I think it was end of the 80s, more or less, middle or end of the 80s. I'm not fully sure on the year, but basically that was a rule set for brokers, okay, to protect the brokerage industry from having customers to risk too much in their trades. And basically, what that rule states is that if your account is less than 25K, okay, when it comes to stocks, ETFs, or stock options, because it's all equities, right? Then under 25K, then there is a limit, okay, which is maximum. Limitations, okay, I will write it like that, okay. There you got limitations, okay, which is basically 3 intraday trades in 5 business days. So notice what I said. I said 3 intraday trades in 5 business days. In other words, if you try to do an Aaron Condor, which is 4 units, you will get a rejected order message because TradeStation would perceive, hey, this guy is shooting 4 trades at the same time because it's 4 different contracts, and the account is under 25K. The law does not allow this to be. That account is not a PDT account. So what do you need for your account to be PDT? Well, then you will need the account to be above 25K. And now then your account would be kind of approved for pattern day trading rules, and therefore now you can utilize as many units as you want. Basically you got no limitations, okay? So no limitations any longer, okay? So in other words, what is the ideal size if you're gonna trade stock options, okay? Well, the ideal size to not to have any limitations is to be above 25K. And by the way, if you take a trade and you lose, then you are below 25K. So I would say above 25K is better, maybe 26, 27, 30K. That would be the ideal starting point to not to have limitations, okay? Some of you may say, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to open an options account with 2,000, okay, which is the minimum required by TradeStation, right? And the only thing I want to do is to buy calls and buy puts, which is 1 unit at a time. And then I would say, okay, it's fine that you can do it. But again, the beauty of options trading is that you can run so many different strategies. But the downside of the pattern day trade rule is that for you to be able to run multiple strategies that imply more units, you do need your account to be a PDT account. And that implies to be above 25K. This is not decided by a broker. This is a piece of regulation. So all brokers would be the same in this sense, okay? So long story short, why am I explaining all of this? Well, first, I think you need to know that. And I'm sure some of you do, but if you don't, if you didn't know it, that's important for you to know, and now you know. But what is the other reason why? Well, because some of you may have looked at TradeStation, okay? And we got this question all the time. So some of you are using TradingView, and by the way, TradingView, it's amazing, okay? And you have it on the web, you have it on the go. The mobile app of TradingView basically syncs, as you saw 2 weeks ago, with what you have on the desktop. So it's really, really convenient, okay? But what I'm loading now, which is a feature of TradeStation called Radar Screen, okay, that radar screen feature, okay, that is not available on TradingView. This feature does not exist. And some of you appreciate it. It depends on your trading style, okay? If you are doing, intermediate or long-term trading and you look at the market twice a week, you don't need this. But maybe you are more active and you like to have a tool like that scans the markets for you and gives you those, golden alerts with the golden light. So then you go take a look, because you may have an opportunity there, and you don't need to go one chart at a time, change symbol. You just go take a look at the radar screen, and then you know which markets you're going to trade today. So then you need TradeStation, okay? You need TradeStation. And the problem with TradeStation is that it's not a platform such as TradingView, which is a web. You need a trading account if you need TradeStation. This is a question we receive all the time. So what is the easiest way to get TradeStation? Knowing that it's a broker. You cannot, actually you could purchase TradeStation. It's called TradeStation Analytics, okay? So I guess that, if I come in here and I type TradeStation Analytics, okay? So let me see, where is TradeStation Analytics? In Analytics Institutional, maybe it's there. I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not, but we'll see that. Okay, no, it's not here. Anyway, I'll let you research, okay? But basically, if you want to utilize TradeStation Analytics, which basically is the TradeStation software without an account, they will charge you around, I think it's $250 a month. So it's certainly not the right way to do it. If you want to use TradeStation just so you can use the TradeStation platform because of the enhanced features, then the trick, okay, the trick is to open a stock account with 500, okay, and you don't need to trade. Okay, so you will always have 500 in that account. So you may not use that money, or maybe you with $500 you buy a few stocks that pay dividends or something like that. Okay, and you just leave it there and you forget about it. But now, thanks to having $500 in your account, then TradeStation will be happy to take you as a customer, and now you have access to TradeStation software. Market data is free as well with TradeStation. Okay, so you have market data is right here. Okay, so it's free with TradeStation, as you can see. Plenty of market data is gonna, for non-professionals. That's index data. Where is it? Special futures data, equity and options. You see, free. So you got this is level the level 2 package, the total view package that we don't use these normally. So the normal data for stocks to get the charts is for free. Same with options. Same with forex is free. Same with crypto is free. Same with futures. Where is it? Yeah, it doesn't show here. They keep changing the website. Okay, so that's why. But there is a special futures data here. I believe it is where it is. Yes, here we go. You have the Globax value bundle, which is free. Okay, so basically you open an account with TradeStation the way I just said. Okay, and then you end up with free market data, and yes, you get $500 tied up there. But it's better to do it this way than get TradeStation Analytics and pay $250 a month, because after 2 months you already spent $500 and that money is gone. Where if you get $500 in your account and let's say you purchase stocks with dividends or something like that, just to do something very passive, then the money's still there. If the stocks go against you, you still got some money left. Where if you subscribe to TradeStation Analytics after 2 months, those $500 are gone. Okay, so this is just a little tip for you to know how what is TradeStation, first of all, where is it coming from, how does it work, and how to get it. Okay, so these are questions we receive all the time, and hopefully this video is useful for the ones of you that didn't know. So now you know. One way to get TradeStation is to come here. Okay, so tradewithufos.com, which is our website, and then you add /TradeStation. Okay, what's the benefit of using that URL? Well, let me show you. If you use that URL, so you do tradewithufos/TradeStation. So if you do this is gonna direct you to the TradeStation website. Okay, but you may see there is a special code that showed up immediately. Okay, so when you come in here to register for a new account, the beauty is that you have been automatically connected with this gentleman, which this gentleman works with us. So if you were to have any problem with account openings, or you were to be stuck, or you have already an account with TradeStation and you're using an old commission model because you just heard what I just said, and you're like, I cannot believe it. I'm paying monthly fees with TradeStation to have market data, which we used to be like that in the old times. So this gentleman can help you very much. He's a nice guy, and by the way, you can just call TradeStation. You can find their contact information by clicking here, contact us, and then you can ask for this gentleman, and they will forward the call to him. And it's a nice guy. Okay, so just little tip there. So that's how you can do it. Okay, just trying to make your life simple. Good. So now we know about TradeStation. What else we need to know when it comes to good practices, and tips and all of those things. Okay. And by the way, I know that the content today it's really not complicated at all. It's easy to follow, but still, if you have any question at any moment in time, feel free to interact, or if you have your own practices as well, and you're like, what works very well for me is I like to do this. So feel free to participate. Okay, it doesn't need to be only me sharing good practices, because in the end, the beauty of platforms is that you can customize them to the user, and that there are many ways to end up in a convenient or good position with the platforms where you work efficiently. So if there is anything you feel like sharing, feel free to do so. Okay, good. I'm gonna take a sip of water if you don't mind. Thank you very much. So anyway, so let's continue. Okay, so now with TradeStation, notice if I put my mouse here on the bottom, okay, you will see that two windows showed up. Okay, in other words, as we speak, I got two instances of TradeStation running on my computer, and each of those instances could be placed in different computer screens. Okay, right now they happen to be on one computer screen because since I am conducting this live session on YouTube, so I am sharing one screen. That's all I can do. But at home, in the office, wherever you trade, so you could have 10 monitors, two monitors, and each of those monitors could have one or multiple instances of TradeStation. So you can really treat TradeStation like different windows. So I can come in here and maybe I'm gonna get this window here, okay, and I'm just gonna move it to the left, okay, and is utilizing that space on my screen. And now I have my other TradeStation there. So now I have two instances of TradeStation in the same computer screen. Okay, so this one is on the left, this one is on the right, isn't it? So now I got two instances of TradeStation on the same computer screen. I can have more, or I can just take them like you would do with any other Windows, and I bring it to another computer screen somewhere else. I can also do that. Is that making sense? So know this. Now, there is a specific name for that. TradeStation called those instances desktops. Okay, so each of those large windows, okay, are known as desktops within TradeStation terminology. Okay. Let me see. I have a few questions here. Leslie, if we get TradeStation, can we also get the software used to tell us when and what is becoming tradable? There is TradeStation has. I will explain that in a minute, Leslie. TradeStation has something. It's very convenient. It's called a trading app store. Okay, so there is a way on how to get those apps linked to your TradeStation platform, and it becomes native. So even if you were to go to a friend who uses TradeStation but doesn't have the apps, but you go to your friend, log in the TradeStation in your friend's house using your username and password, next thing you know, the apps would be available there. You would have the UFOs on the screen. So all of this is because the delivery of the apps is done by the TradeStation App Store. Okay, so it's pretty cool, and I will show you that in a minute, Leslie. 3, TradeStation is a powerful platform, but lately when the market opens, it freezes. Even if I clear my cache, etc., I don't think I am alone. I even tried to work with TradeStation Tech to reinstall TradeStation, and it still freezes. And you are absolutely right. And we need to talk about good practices to minimize those problems. Okay. And and let me tell you that sometimes it's delicate. Okay, sometimes it's delicate, and it's I myself had problems of that sort at times. And it's a pain when that happens, but normally, almost always, it's something, let's call it silly, and the moment you adjust it, then you could enjoy a stable platform. Okay, so I will talk about what are the typical reasons or causes that produce issues with TradeStation later in the session too, because that is another reason why you guys email us many times, which is, hey, for example, what you said, at the market open, my TradeStation freezes. Why is that, right? So there are reasons for that, and we're gonna talk about it, and I will show you good practices. Okay, and many times it's not even TradeStation. For example, the antivirus many times is a big source of problems. So I will talk about that. Okay, Frank, TOS and other platforms are also having the same issue. Software is software, and let's face it, the market is becoming more evolved every day, and the platforms more evolved every day. So the probability of bugs is higher every day, right? So we have to deal with this. Okay, but anyway, I'll give you a few solutions. Okay. Mark, I read your email. I know you are going through a problematic situation right now. Last Friday, Bojan, I had to see traders work out in front of my eyes without being able to move or play stops targets. Yeah. The only one I heard did not have any issues was Interactive Brokers. Well, you are right, but you tell me, Frank, how nice the IB charts are, isn't it? It's an amazing platform for execution. It's one of the best platforms. Many fund managers will use it for execution. You can link accounts. You can have master accounts, slave accounts. I utilize Interactive Brokers myself. It's one of the platforms. But I will never load a chart on interactive brokers because it's really really basic, so basic functionality. It's really 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 incomplete. It's a magnificent platform for execution, but not for analysis. Okay, and yeah. So anyway, yeah. And by the way, in the end, it's all about preference. Okay, because some of you may be like, what, I love TradeStation. Some of you may be like, what, I don't. I prefer TradingView. Some of you may be like, TOS. That's my favorite. And there's no right or wrong. And in the end, to be honest, especially as you trade and you do a better job and your accounts grow, the normal thing in the life of a trader is to be surrounded by multiple platforms. Okay, you don't want to fall in love with a platform, by the way. Okay, because what if tomorrow, okay, TradeStation is amazing, right? So what if tomorrow TradeStation is acquired by um, Schwab, like just happened recently with TD Ameritrade, right? Or JP Morgan acquiring E-Trade, in recent times. So maybe, that company acquiring them may decide, what, we're not going to use your platform anymore. And, you were a lover of the platform, but now the platform is gone. So what are you going to do, right? So as traders, just like when we trade markets, we don't want to fall in love. Okay, and I know, of course, we all have preferences when it comes to software, but still, you need to detach yourself from those preferences to a certain degree. Okay, this is one of the reasons why, in the way when we developed our technology, our apps, we are utilizing two platforms, not one, and one of them is not even a broker, so it's broker agnostic. So no matter what happens to the crazy world of brokerage firms, that service, will remain. Okay, so that way, no matter what, we have a way to go, right? Cool. This is an important conversation, okay? Even though many of the things we are saying are common sense, if you wish, but it's important to think about these details, okay? Especially if you're new to trading and you never thought about it, just think about it. It's important. Pansy, yes, I totally agree with regarding TradeStation, but my delays have been ongoing prior to these market issues last week. I trade mostly on Tastyworks and have had absolutely no problem. Yeah, Tastyworks is a platform that has been developed in the recent times. Therefore, the core of Tastyworks is quite new, and the amount of layers of updates they have placed on top of that core is very limited. That's why it works so well. But 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now, well, it will not be the same. Just like the issues on TradeStation is because there are so many updates on top of a core. So, it's like that. So you expect with the platforms, it's always cycles. There is a moment in time when they are freshly released, it's all buggy. There is a moment in time where updates do their job and now it's fantastic. But then you fast forward in time and it goes back to be problematic because every time you have an update, it slows down and things like that. And this is basically, if some of you listening to this are computer software engineers, probably you can explain why is that better than me, isn't it? So again, don't fall in love with platforms, guys, okay? Even if they are great and amazing, be ready to work with whatever gives you the service you need. Okay, and if that happens to be the favorite platform in the world, even better. But if someday you have to change, don't be emotionally attached. Okay, just like trading. Bojan, thanks, Frank and Jose. I'm going to take a look at interactive brokers, deciding which way to go between IB, TradingView, something else for execution. Yeah, well. IB cannot be connected with anything at the moment. I understand TradingView has a project where they are looking into an integration to connect IB via TradingView, but I have no information concerning deadlines. And given how complex IB is, because it's a very, very complex platform for execution. Again, you have Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all those institutional services that provide execution for funds, and when you move down to the next level down, which is now brokerage firms, okay, which are way smaller compared to the big boys, IB is the largest broker, almost as large as those big boys. So it's really, really serious when it comes to execution, and therefore the integration with TradingView is probably very difficult. Okay. But someday, I believe so. Okay, I mean, my understanding, okay, is that there is a project running, and that's all I know. Okay, cool. Okay, let's continue, guys. Okay, I can see that you guys enjoy talking about brokers, and I get it. Okay, so let's continue. So now, I was talking about TradeStation is organized in those different instances, right? So it's called desktops. You can put them in different screens. It's very convenient in this way, okay? And then within each of those desktops, okay, and probably all of you know that, you can see here on the bottom part, I got a tab, okay? I got a tab. Well, those tabs, you can have as many as you want, okay? Here in this area, you can have as many tabs as you want, and basically the tabs is like instances inside of instances, right? It's like desktops inside of desktops, something like that. So for example, here, just to be a bit more visual, so what do I have here? I have one workspace, which is the tab called UFO climates, okay? And ST stands for short term. So UFO climates short term, okay? And and I have only one, I have nothing else. I could click on the plus sign and create more workspaces. And if I do that, notice that now I got a blank space screen where I can add apps. Okay, you see, you got the app menu, so I can add more charts, I can add news, I can add a matrix for execution, I can add a scanner, so I can add multiple tools, and then I can save my workspace with a name and get my environment on where I work properly organized. So the workspaces, okay, the workspaces, when you save them, they are files. It's like a Word document that you save, right? They are actually saved on your documents folder on your computer. So you could just move here to file, and then you would look at workspaces and notice you can open, you can save as, okay? Then there are shortcuts. I am a shortcut person. I love shortcuts. So Control O to open, Control S to save. So you got multiple workspaces there, right? So I can go for Control O to open. This will bring me into my actually, I am saving my that by the way, that's another very nice tip, okay? When it comes to good practices, I save my workspaces on a Google Drive. So that way, if I'm using another computer, which is not my computer, okay, or I am running a virtual machine on my computer, as you can see here on the top, I'm running a virtual machine inside of my Windows. So I can have multiple windows inside of Windows, right? So I can have one virtual machine I used to trade, one virtual machine I used to do the get-together sessions, and I have, the font size, the colors, everything organized in each virtual machine the way I want. Okay, now this is bigger than TradeStation itself. This is at a higher level. But my point is that now between virtual machines or between computers, okay, or between different places where your home computer, your office computer. So if you save your workspace files inside of a Google Drive, so what's the beauty? Well, the Google Drive syncs automatically. You got the Google Drive tool here on the bottom that syncs automatically. So if, let's say, you have a computer in the office where you have been doing some trading, you have been doing some notes on your chart or saving something on your screen, and then you close your computer and now you go home and you open your TradeStation at home and you are connecting again with the Google Drive and loading your workspace from the Google Drive, what's the good news? The good news is that you're going to get to see the same thing that you did in the office. You get the same because it's the same file, okay? So because the Google Drive syncs, okay? So that's pretty cool. It's certainly very useful. And also, by the way, that way, automatically, even if you didn't back up your TradeStation, there is a backup functionality, and by the way, that's critical. You need to back up your TradeStation. But let's say you forgot, okay, or maybe you do a backup once a week, okay? So what's the beauty? The beauty is that you always have a file on the cloud. The Google Drive is on the cloud. So if your computer explodes overnight and it doesn't work anymore, well, you can always use another computer and you have your files ready to use. So you don't have to rebuild your workspaces and things like that, which is always problematic, okay? So when it comes to workspace files, okay, I save them on a Google Drive, as you can see. This is not the normal location. The normal location for TradeStation files, let me show you. Okay, so if you look at your documents folder, okay, in your My PC documents, you have a TradeStation 10 folder there. Okay, so if you go there into TradeStation 10, you have a folder for desktops and you have a folder for workspaces. So these two folders, that's where you save the desktops, which is the overall window that may have multiple workspaces next to each other, okay? That's the desktops, okay? But you can also find the workspaces in here. This is where they're saved by default, okay? But this is, again, in your local drive, not in the cloud, okay? So what I do, as you have seen, is that I use the Google Drive, okay? And therefore, instead of that particular route, so I am using this other route, which in my case, I have TradeStation 5, TradeStation 10, workspaces, Trade with UFOs, and I have my files in here, okay? Okay, so let me open one, and then while it opens, I want to comment on something else concerning these files. Okay, so I'm going to open the S&P, for example, S&P futures. Now you can see there is a workspace opening here in the bottom part, so it's opening. Okay, and the moment it opens, so you have a setup with your windows well organized, depending on your preferences, and it's there. Okay, so something important for you to know about the workspace files. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back again to Control O. Okay, to access those files. So the workspace files, I have to say something about it. Okay, and this applies both to the desktop and the workspace files, but it applies more to the workspace files because what I'm about to explain happens more often to the workspace files compared to the desktop files. And the thing about the workspace files is that sometimes they get corrupted. Okay, why does that happen? No idea. I've been using TradeStation for many years, and I believe, out of observation, but I cannot prove that's the case, I believe that there are two things in TradeStation that are very sensitive to having a problem with your internet connection. Okay, which is the workspace file, the desktop files, and the cache folder. Let me show you the cache folder. So I go back to Documents, I go back to TradeStation 10, and I go inside CAL, and here's the cache folder. So the cache folder, it's keeping on the hard drive all the market data you download. So for example, if you download 5 years of data on your chart, this is going to be saved on the hard drive. So if the next day you want to load that chart again, all that market data does not need to be downloaded again. It's already on your hard drive, so TradeStation just uses it immediately, speed of the light. Okay, so it's smart and convenient. Now, the cache folder with all the files inside, okay, and the workspace files and the desktop files, my experience is that they are sensitive to bad internet connection. And you may have a good internet connection, but next thing you know, your internet provider may have an issue, and then you got latency, you got something going on for 1 hour, and next thing you know, some file gets corrupted. I've seen that happen. I don't know why, but if that happens, it's a problem, because there is no red light somewhere that tells you corrupted file. No, you are using TradeStation and there is a corrupted file and you don't know. So typically when that's the case, you get to see TradeStation go slow. That's one of the reasons, okay? Some of you commented on that. That's a classical reason, okay? So what do you want to do if your TradeStation doesn't work well? Okay, well, then you want to close everything, close all the workspaces, close all the desktops, and close TradeStation. You want to come here where the cache folder is, okay, which is inside Documents, inside TradeStation 10, inside CAL, you got the cache folder. And what you do is you right-click and you delete. Okay, now you cannot do that when TradeStation is on. You have to close TradeStation first. So you have to shut down TradeStation, and then you can delete the cache folder, because if I try to delete now, it's going to give me an error message because the files are being used, so you cannot delete. Okay, so you will need to close TradeStation, delete the cache folder, and go back in. So you would close TradeStation, delete the cache folder, come back inside TradeStation, and then you would want to close everything, open here, open a new desktop, okay, fresh new desktop, okay. It would be a complete blank window, and then inside of that fresh new desktop, open a new workspace, okay. So you have a brand new workspace inside of a brand new desktop with a fully emptied cache folder. And what's going to happen? Well, now you're using files that are not corrupted. You give TradeStation the opportunity to re-download everything fresh. Your workspace file is not corrupted, and this many times will solve situations where your TradeStation goes slow. Especially if your TradeStation was working fine, and one day you are like, oh, this is weird. My TradeStation is not working as normal. What's going on? Well, that situation typically represents some file got corrupted. So again, this is not likely to happen that often. And if it does, typically it's because there has been a problem with the internet connection. At least that's my experience. So I'm just sharing, okay? Okay, so what else? So here we got 2 workspaces, okay? 1 and 2. You can have as many as you want, okay? You can have as many as you want. Now, keep in mind, the more desktops, the more workspaces, and the more elements. So this is a chart element, matrix element. Actually, TradeStation calls it windows, okay? Matrix window, chart window, okay? So all those things count when it comes to computer resources. So the more elements you have running, the more workspaces you have open, the more desktops you have open, will slow down your computer, especially depending on how powerful your computer is, and again, depending on your internet connection. Why would your internet connection slow down your computer? Well, simple. Because as the market data flows inside TradeStation, okay, the charts begin. Here we go. Sorry for that. So as the market data flows into your chart, then the charts begin moving. If the internet connection was not to be very good, let's say you are on a vacation trip and you happen to be in an island in Thailand, and maybe you're using some public Wi-Fi hotspot where you got another 50 people using it too. So you may have a lot of latency if you connect with US servers from Thailand. So what could happen there? You got latency. And therefore, even though maybe you have a supercomputer, then you notice your TradeStation go slow. And why is that? Is because, whatever is happening on that candle is not giving a green light to start plotting the next candle until that first candle finished, but there is delay on that first candle, so the next candle comes slow. And you basically notice that you're clicking, the right clicking, everything is kind of working slow. So if you ever feel that something like that is happening, it may be your internet connection. Sometimes this is fixed by rebooting your router. Maybe your router got the cache folder. The routers also have a cache memory, so maybe they have the cache memory full, and by rebooting the router you clear it up and then everything goes better. Okay, so again, little tips. Again, sometimes the problems that you may experience have to do with those little tips. You change that and then you realize, oh my god, that's it, right? Sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes you do need technical experts from TradeStation to help you. You may have to reinstall. Sometimes it's not that simple, but many times it's that simple. Okay, so that's why I keep throwing little tips out there. Okay, 1 second, please. Thank you so much. So, what else? And by the way, I'll give you a break in around 10 minutes. Okay. So, what else? Okay, so the antivirus. Okay, the antivirus. So each antivirus is different. Okay, each antivirus is different. So there are some antivirus which are known to be conflicting with TradeStation. Okay, for example, NOD32 tends to be a problem. For example, Kaspersky tends to be a problem with TradeStation. Okay, it is not documented anywhere, but I've been told this multiple times by TradeStation technicians. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you're using one of those antivirus and TradeStation is not working well, you may want to try to disable the antivirus and try again. There is no virus risk to use TradeStation servers. So it is okay for you to disable the antivirus, test TradeStation without the antivirus, and if it works well, then reactivate the antivirus. But while you deactivate the antivirus, of course, make sure you don't open web pages and things like that, because then you may get a virus. So I'm just saying that the TradeStation network, when it comes to market data servers, got no virus. But if you do something else, then you may get a virus. Okay, so make sure that if you disable your virus, you know what you're doing. Your antivirus, you know what you're doing. Okay, so my case, okay, I do it very simple. I'm using Ava's free antivirus. It doesn't mean you need to use this one, but it's actually free. So it's just a very basic antivirus, okay? But I want to show you what you may want to do, okay, with the antiviruses, okay? So all antiviruses got somewhere in their settings an exceptions tab, and every one of those antiviruses will be different. By the way, you could call TradeStation and tell them, hey, help me to set up my antivirus, okay? And so basically what you want to do is to set up an exception, okay? And to set up the exception, you can browse, for example, and you may go to that's what you will need them to lead you, because there are many files, okay? But basically you will look for program files, you will look for TradeStation 10, that's where the files are. You will look for program, right? And inside program, so here you have some of the TradeStation files. For example, here we go. Okay, so or chart. Okay, so this process. Okay, for example, this is the process that is running in your computer. Every time you load a chart, you got one of those guys running. So if I click OK to this, and I put this as an exception on my antivirus, so what's going to happen is that my antivirus does not filter that process. So every time that process is trying to get market data, the market data will not be filtered by my antivirus, even though my antivirus is running. And what's that going to do? That's going to really free up computer processing power. And there are antivirus that are really problematic in that sense. They slow down the computer. Okay, so all of those are tips that are important for you to keep in mind. Okay, out of curiosity, how many of you that use TradeStation have ever set up the antivirus to filter TradeStation? Okay, I like to see that you guys type it to see if you have done it or not. And if you have not done it, you should. Okay, it helps. Okay, it helps. Okay, so Osman, can we see how you set up them with AutoUFOs? Yes, I'm getting there. Absolutely. So now, so we have TradeStation. So TradeStation is a broker. You know how to get it. You know the commissions. You know the market data fees, which are free. You know that once you install TradeStation, you have desktops, and inside desktops you have workspaces. What else we said? Little tips about knowing where the key files are: the cache folder, the desktop folder, the workspace folder, and so on. Okay. You also have the antivirus. Okay, that could be problematic. So set it up properly, or do what I do here, which I run TradeStation inside of a virtual machine. So the virtual machine has no antivirus. My computer does, but not the virtual machine. Therefore, there is no filtering for TradeStation, and the only thing I run in this virtual machine is TradeStation. That's it. Okay, but that's more complicated. Okay, so that requires some IT background, if you wish. So probably no need to go that far. Now, what else? The desktops, the workspaces with the UFOs. Okay, so I'm going to show you two important things for you to remember. First, there are preset, predefined workspaces already, both for AutoUFO and AutoClimate. Okay, so all of you know. Okay, I mean, you should know. Let me be very visual just in case. Okay, so trade with UFOs /join. All of you should have seen this page before. You will not be in the YouTube channel if you haven't, right? Because you probably came here sometime in the past and you clicked in free for your TradingView membership, right? And you are getting access to the sharpening sessions, and we email you, right? Because when you click here, we put you in the mailing list, and we alert you that we are doing sessions, so you don't miss the session, etc. Right? But that's not what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is the middle column, apps. So we have two apps: AutoClimate, AutoUFOs. For TradingView, we talked about 2 weeks ago. for TradeStation, we're talking about this today. Okay. So therefore, going back to TradeStation, you have two sets of workspaces, okay, that are already preset for you to use AutoClimate and AutoUFO. And this is probably the best way to avoid conflicting workspaces or conflicting settings. Okay? Because look, any chart on TradeStation, for example, this chart, I could come in here, okay, and either double click on the candles or right click, okay, and look at the settings and look at the settings for for the window, for example, right? And I could come in here and change things on my charts, okay? And the problem is that when you do these things, okay, there is always a button here somewhere which is set as default. So what's the problem? The problem is that out of personal preferences, many of you, I do too, you tweak all those things and you may set it as a preference. And maybe one of the things that you have tweaked, for example, the amount of bars that are loaded on the chart, okay, you may come up with a number which is way too large, requires too much processing power from TradeStation, and then you have a TradeStation running slow and you don't know why. And the reason why is because you have a setting that is too exaggerated, and you don't realize that because you did that, I don't know, 1 month ago. You don't remember. Okay, so one healthy way on how to utilize the apps is, instead of building the apps from scratch, which you could, I'll show you how to. You can come here where you have the Trading App Store updates. Okay, and when you click on this, okay, you will be brought to a menu where you can see here that you have the AutoUFOs and the AutoClimate. Okay, they are here. Okay, and here it says launch. So what happens if I click launch for AutoClimate? Well, automatically it's opening a workspace which is ready to use with a chart and a red screen, where the chart got AutoClimate, the red screen got AutoClimate, and both of those windows, okay, are set up with parameters that are healthy. And what I mean by healthy is that they are not likely going to harm your computer. Those workspaces are not corrupt, because those workspaces are not even saved on your computer. Those workspaces are now delivered. When you click, the workspace is delivered to your computer via the TradeStation network. So it's a brand new, fresh workspace delivered to you from the network. Okay, so it's not like you build it yourself. Because another way to do this would be that, okay, what about I open a blank workspace, okay, and then I come here to apps and I say, okay, I want a red screen, and you load a red screen, and I want a chart, so you click chart, and I want to put them together, okay, so arrange vertical, and I want my chart, instead of line, I want the chart to be a candlestick, and what else? I want to activate AutoUFO, so I go to studies. Okay. Okay, interesting. Talking about sometimes weird things happen. Here we go. It's just happening to me. Not sure why. Okay, interesting. Okay, perfect timing for this to happen. Okay, so you see, it's exactly what I meant. So sometimes, okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe I have a desktop file which is corrupted as we speak, or maybe I have some cache file which is corrupted. The fact is that I'm clicking on. Wait a minute. So silly of me, guys. Of course, it doesn't work. Sorry for that. Okay, you're gonna laugh at this. You know, this is muscle memory. I'm so used to click on this button that I'm not thinking about it. So this button, okay, is a button that I position myself there, and I save as a default. But this button is to enable and disable studies that are already in the chart. But I have nothing on the chart because it's a brand new chart. So sorry for that, guys. I got confused myself and I got you confused. So to enter AutoClimate, you would come to studies, that one here. Okay, not the one with enable studies, but these one studies here on the right. Okay, and once you click enable in studies, you would add study now, and then on the list you will find your AutoUFO. Okay, you will find your AutoUFO. Where are you? AutoUFO. Here we go. So here is, sorry, AutoClimate. We're doing AutoClimate first. We'll do AutoUFO later. So here's your AutoClimate. And if I click OK, well, now your AutoClimate will show up on the chart and you have it, right? So it's computing and it's going to be there in just a second. Same thing with the radar screen on the right. Okay. And by the way, you can see it's taking a long, long time. Okay. Why is that? Because this chart I have loaded have many, 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 many candles. Why? Because my default settings are many candles. And therefore, I insert the app, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, why is it taking so long? What's happening to my TradeStation? Okay. So did you see earlier how quick it loaded with this one? Okay, why? Because this one, by default, if you look at the amount of candles on the chart, it's coming with 2 years of data on the daily time frame, which is the default setting of TradeStation, and 2 years of data on the default time frame is, let's call it 500 candles. Okay, you got 252 trading days in a year, so that times 2 is, let's call it 500 candles, and that is easy and fast for TradeStation to compute, no matter the market. Where if you want more data on the screen, then it's gonna take longer. Okay, so that's the problem, that you may have saved defaults where you are loading by default 20 years of data. You don't remember. Now you insert the app manually and you wonder, why is it so slow? Okay. So my recommendation is to do this. Let me show you that. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. I will say you one more time. Exactly. So I closed everything here, right? So you would go ahead and you would come to Trading App Store updates like I did before. And what you will want to do is click on AutoClimate. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then you will click on apps, go back to the same, and then pick AutoUFOs and click on launch. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And now it's going to launch another workspace with AutoUFOs where all the parameters in those charts are reasonable. You see how fast everything loads? You guys see that? So what could you do now with this? Okay. Now let's say you want to build your own desktop. Like for example, the way I have it here, where everything is placed in a different way, right? So what would you do? Okay. So you have the blank workspace here that I just created, right, by clicking on the plus sign, isn't it? So instead of add radar screen, add chart, and add the study, which could create a problem based on default settings you forgot you have, one way to find stability more easily is to come here and say, okay, you know what? I like this chart. So I'm just going to click on the chart, go for the edit menu and click on copy. Okay, copy window. You guys see here, copy window? Okay, so if you copy window, and now I move to my empty workspace, which I'm building from scratch, and I come to edit again, and now I select paste. So what's going to happen? Now you have that chart here, okay? But that chart is that chart with no bad inherited settings that may be part of the chart out of things that you may have or change, 3 months ago and you forgot. Okay. And which, by the way, this happens to everybody, including me. Make sure you understand that. You can do the same now. Go to AutoUFO and get that chart too. Okay. And do the same. Click edit, move, copy, move to this workspace and now paste. Okay. And now you have those 2 windows. You can sort them however you like. And now guess what? You have those tools in this new workspace that you are building to make it whatever you want it, to look however you want it. But the beauty is that all those charts are set up, with those properties, those settings that are not problematic. So everything is going to be smooth. So now, like for example, here with IBM, if I was to type Euro USD, okay, so notice everything is happening fast. Okay, on the top, if I type Euro USD, okay, so you will see how everything is happening fast. Well, in this case, it's showing PD, which means pending data. So
Now we are depending on the speed of your internet connection for the data to be downloaded. Oh, by the way, I typed ED. Okay, sorry for that. EUR USD. Okay, now it's better. Here we go. So that's the euro, and you can see the speed of execution. And by the way, I'm using a virtual machine, which means that this is utilizing maybe 15% of my total CPU. So what you see right now is not a powerful computer, and you can see the speed. It's pretty okay, right? So if you are running this on a proper machine and you use the proper settings, then it should be quite smooth. Okay. Now, let's say you have this type of workspace, very well set up, everything is very nice, but now you create for yourself 25 workspaces and 25 desktops, and you spread it across 25 monitors. Well, let me tell you that probably is going to be too much for TradeStation. Okay. And why is that? Well, because TradeStation is an application where the core of TradeStation is 32-bit. And what does that mean? Well, again, jump in if you are a computer software engineer, because you know better than me. But that means that it doesn't matter how much RAM memory your computer has, TradeStation can only work with maximum 4 gigabytes. So if you load so many charts that TradeStation requires more than 4 gigabytes, TradeStation will not be able to use more than 4 gigabytes, and therefore all the market data will be moving from memory back to hard drive, from hard drive back to memory. That's going to slow down your computer massively, and then you will not be happy. So in other words, try to limit the most you can the amount of desktops and workspaces and charts, especially if your computer is not too powerful. And if your computer is powerful, you should be okay, even if you have multiple desktops and workspaces and charts running. But at the same time, take it easy, because the more you add, that's when you open the door for things to be problematic. Okay. So again, recipe number one for things to be problematic: you build your workspaces from scratch. You may have inherited prior default settings that were too exaggerated. So you save as a default setting that every time you load a chart is 20 years of data. So that's gonna kill your TradeStation. Okay, so you could call TradeStation so they help you to reset everything back to the default. But again, if you don't want to do that, the easiest way to do it is one more time. You go to apps, you go to TradeStation Store Updates, and then you click on Launch. So you load the ready-to-use workspaces where everything is healthy inside, and then you just copy windows from those places to your customized workspaces. Okay. So So by the way, I'm looking at the time, and I said that I would give you a break, but if that's okay, we're gonna continue. Okay, if you guys are okay with that, because we're doing pretty well with the speed of covering this information, and I believe that we should be able to conclude this session maybe in another 15 minutes or so. So it doesn't make sense to have a 10-minute break to then continue for 15 minutes. So we'll just keep going, and then we'll complete the session, if that's okay. So now, okay, let me read your questions before I continue. Bojan, Jose, you have to have the study. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a muscle memory, isn't it? Ahmad, I notice when I try to use AutoClimate for stocks, my TradeStation freezes. Okay. Again, Ahmad, my suggestion is open the normal workspace, okay, the one that is preset, ready to use, and try it then. Okay. If it still freezes, close your workspaces and desktops, close your TradeStation, delete the cache folder, re-enter TradeStation, and with a brand new desktop, load the ready-to-use workspace, and I am very positive you're going to be fine. Okay, because probably it's either a corrupted file or an inherited, exaggerated settings that is basically killing your computer, given the 32-bit architecture with TradeStation. Okay, so the easiest way to fix it is to do that. Okay, and then if it works, then it's very simple. You just reconstruct your workspace the way I just explained, and it takes a little bit of time. I will give you that one, but it's so worth it, because then everything is smooth. Okay, and that's priceless. Okay, so I certainly encourage you to do so. Okay. Bojan, it still freezes when it reaches its limit. Yeah. Ona Hermanto, hi Jose, I am a new member and this is my first time follow your webinar. I want to ask which one is better, TradingView or TradeStation for charting? Welcome to the session, by the way, Onga. Well, I prefer TradeStation, to be honest. But at the same time, the mobility that TradingView allows me, it's unbelievable. So to me, I use both. And on top of that, as we covered 2 weeks ago, and I welcome you to watch the recording, you could connect TradeStation to TradingView. So to me, there are two companions, right? So, and by the way, TradingView is free. So if you have TradeStation, then you use it combined with TradingView. The only downside, as we covered today, is that if you want to use TradeStation, which, yeah, true, it is more advanced, the only problem is that you do need to go through the process of setting up an account, even if you don't plan to use it, but you do need to have $500 tied up so you have access to this platform. Okay, that's the only downside. But hey, in the old times, we used to pay market data fees, we used to pay monthly fees. To be honest, it got so much more easy and affordable, but still, compared to TradingView, you still have to have a little bit of a commitment. Okay, so I would say TradingView is more than good enough, like really more than good enough. But now, if you get picky, my preference is TradeStation. Okay, but again, that's really personal. Anyway, so good. So let's continue. Really, I have one more thing, which is kind of like one last thing. Okay, because notice what's happening here. Okay, so here's the euro. By default, here this chart, the one that is healthy, right? It's loading 30 days back. Okay, well, in a 60-minute time frame. Okay, in a 60-minute time frame, 30 days. I mean, you got 24 candles per day, right? If every candle is an hour, you got 24 per day times 30. So this is 700 candles. Okay, so earlier you saw 500, now you see 700 candles. This, my friends, it takes nothing. Like TradeStation is gonna laugh at this processing. Okay, so if instead of the Euro USD I type SPY, the S&P 500, 1, 2, 3, I hit enter and look at that. Immediately it was calculated, right? So no effort. It's very, 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 very fast. Okay, so that's beautiful. But now, if instead of doing that, I was to go ahead and input, instead of 30 days of data, I input like 5. Let me make it 2 years. Okay, so I'm gonna make it 2 years of data. Okay, and you know what? Before I do that, I'm just gonna disable AutoUFOs. Okay, so I don't have AutoUFOs because what I want to do first is to download the data. Okay, so I'm just gonna, and I'm gonna do it with the euro because the euro is 24-hour market, so it's even more data. So I'm just gonna go ahead and load, I don't know, 3 years, for example. So if I load 3 years, okay, I'm gonna wait for the PD to go away, okay, because I did it on purpose to load data that is not even on my computer yet, okay. So that's why I disabled AutoUFO for you to see that all that data is being downloaded, and I will add AutoUFOs once the data is downloaded. So you will see what happened when I do that. Okay, that's it. The data is downloaded. Okay, so I'm gonna re-enable AutoUFO. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, click. Okay, and notice that even though we got 3 years of data, it's been so fast, isn't it? I mean, TradeStation is powerful, but why has it been so fast? Well, because the market is closed. And being closed, TradeStation only needs to do this job once. And even though now we got so many candles, the job was done once only. But what about when the market is open and you trade a very liquid market right at the open? For example, you trade the S&P, you trade stocks right at the open. How many trades are happening at the same time? How many ticks? So many, right? So now this effort that just happened here was a big effort, but only one time. Now this effort needs to happen hundreds or thousands of times per second. And that now can become problematic, especially if you have multiple charts running at the same time, multiple workspaces and desktops running at the same time. It could be problematic now. Okay. Now you didn't see it was a problem. Okay. Notice that I'm going to do it again. Now instead of, I'm disabling AutoUFOs, right? So now instead of 3 years of market data, I'm going to load 10. That's a lot of market data. Okay. So again, we got the PD on the top. Okay. So pending data. So we'll wait for the yellow light to go away. And now I'm going to enable AutoUFOs, and you will see it's going to be about the same. It's going to be just as quick. Okay. Why? Because the effort is done only once. Okay. So that's why some of you earlier typed, my freezes happen at the open. because at the open you got many transactions, and therefore the calculations needs to happen every tick, and there are many ticks, and that's going to stress your TradeStation. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this to be loaded, what I'm going to do is, okay, it's loaded, so I will show you later. So I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to activate AutoUFOs. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Notice what happened. No effort. Okay, and I'm using a virtual machine, which again is not going to be the most powerful machine in the world. Okay, so TradeStation can do a very good job at this. The problem is when you got too much demand when it comes to how often this job needs to be done. And this, the key peak of stress, it's going to be right at the open when the market begins trading. Okay, so take a look at how I have my setup here. So this setup, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 charts. That's already demanding. Okay, that's demanding. But take a look at how many candles I got here. So if you look at this chart, I got 89 candles. 89 candles, that's nothing, right? What about the one in the middle? I got 89 candles, that's nothing. And by the way, do I need more? No, why? You trade in the direction of the climate, 89 candles is enough data for you to see what you need to see. Different story is that you are a counter trend trading trader and you need to look at what happened in the market 25 years ago. Well, then yes, you have to load 25 years of data. But if you trade in the direction of the climate with very little amount of candles is enough. So here is another 89 candles. Okay, what about the charts here in the bottom, which are tiny charts? These are the reactive time frames, isn't it? Look at that. I got 55 candles. I don't need more. So I went manually to adjust. Okay, and this one here I loaded more. And the reason why I loaded more is because I got auto climate and I wanted to do my stats. So I know what is the status of the auto climate. Okay, and of course, if you only have 50 candles of data, then the climate statistics mean nothing. You need more data, more samples, right? So in this case, I got 500 candles, which is my default. Okay, which is my default for the 15-minute time frame. So I'm not loading too many candles, and when possible, I go manually and reduce the amount. So that way, I free up stress on my computer in those key moments when the market opens and things like that. Okay, and so in other words, if your files are clean, if your antivirus is not filtering TradeStation, if you build the workspaces out of using files that were not corrupted, if you have not inherited past settings that you didn't remember you set as defaults that were too exaggerated, loading too many candles on the chart, etc., you should be pretty okay. Could it be, okay, and we could ask Mark because Mark just got this problem. Could it be that someday there is an update on TradeStation and you have a problem? Yes, it could. I remember not so long ago having a problem myself. And the problem is that TradeStation updated something, but my Windows didn't update something. And the update basically was to, add some sort of an improvement out of some Windows patches, the Windows updates that, happen automatically normally. So what happens? That computer that I'm talking about was not updated when it comes to Windows. And when the TradeStation update came in, then I had problems. And I thought it was TradeStation, and bottom line, it was not TradeStation. So this may happen with a Windows update. It may happen with your video driver. It may happen with, sometimes it could be something weird. Lack of compatibility with something. And when that's the case, then you have to ring TradeStation customer support. And then like all large companies, sometimes you will get an incredible and smart and helpful representative that will just fix it for you quite quickly. Sometimes you just get a person that is quite new to TradeStation or in training and or maybe doesn't have a happy day or something like that. And then basically you have to hang up and call again. And that's not pleasant. But that happens sometimes when you call the bank, right? So or the travel agency. So anyway, that's life, I would say, right? But all those tips I share with you today typically are, I would say, 95% of the reasons for problems when using TradeStation, when running the auto UFOs, etc., etc. Okay, so yeah, so basically keep that in mind. Okay, and before we complete the session, there is one question I haven't answered from earlier, which is when I show you the apps here, I never showed you how you can activate those apps on your TradeStation. So you could just click here on apps, or just yourself. You can type on the screen. Let me come in. Oh, sorry, not this one. Okay, you can come in here and type TradeStation dot tradingappstore.com. Okay, TradeStation.tradingappstore.com, and then you come to this place. Okay, and when you come to this place, it will not look like that. Okay, let me show you exactly how it looks. So if you go to the URL I just showed you, okay, it looks like that. Okay, it looks like that. Okay, so this is the App Store. There are many apps. Okay, you can see that we are a product that is being used by hundreds and hundreds of traders in the App Store of TradeStation. So we are there, which is nice to see. But now when you come here, you may be lost, right? So probably the easiest way to navigate this is to use the search box. You can type either auto UFOs, right? And then you get access to the, I think I didn't type it correctly, auto UFOs. Here we go, now we did. So auto UFOs, and now you come to this place where you have the app. Or you can just, again, from the join page, you just click on TradeStation App Stores, and it will bring you to our company name. Our company name is technically a developer of TradeStation, and therefore under developer, so you have all the apps that we have launched, which is Auto UFOs and Auto Climate. Probably all of you know that Auto Climate is for no charge, and Auto UFOs is a subscription type of application, even though there is a free trial, so you can use it there. And by the way, well, since we're here, I will ask you a little favor, if you don't mind. You don't have to, by the way, but it'd be nice. Okay. I personally am very bad with that, so that's why now I see it and it comes to my mind. It'd be nice if you guys were to come into those apps, okay, and just write a review for us. That would be very nice. I know many of you are using the apps, and not so many review. I am personally very bad reviewing, so it'd be nice that you guys come in here and you review. And by the way, just type what you think. Okay, you can see this guy said pretty and useless. Okay, well, probably he never looked into the channel or the user guide, but still, give us a 5 stars. So thank you for that. But anyway, just type whatever you feel. Is that making sense? So whatever experience you had, type it in, because apart from that, we also take a look at this, and we also in the future will come up with updated versions of the apps, and we have plans for updating functionalities that we will release soon. Okay, but anyway, so what else? Let me take a look at my notes. Yeah, so basically that's what I wanted to go over with you when it comes to good practices, tips with TradeStation. So you have a smooth experience, everything goes well, and then basically you can focus on the trading instead of basically be slowed down or have problems or things like that. Okay, so if you have any question or any comment, okay, so if the session went well for you and this was useful, I'd love if you can say it. If you have any question of something I haven't explained that you need, this is your time before we conclude the session, so I can take a look at your question and give you an answer. And if there is anything that you would like me to incorporate into future sessions or something like that, you can also take advantage of this time to type it in. Okay. So what do we have here? Are you able to recommend a forex broker in the UK, Leslie? Yes. So if you want to use a forex broker in the UK, Leslie, here's what I would do. Let me bring my browser again. And by the way, I'm going to give you 2 recommendations, not 1, 2. For the ones in the UK, and for the ones that you are not in the UK. I didn't want to open so many windows. Only one will do. Here we go. Okay, so URL. Okay, URL. So let me type it first so you see it in large size, and then I'll explain this. So URL will be www.tradewithufos.com/axi. Okay, and I'll explain what that means in a second. And the other URL is www.tradewithufos.com/ATC89 or ATC 233. So now let me explain what that means. AXI, okay, that's going to be for non-US residents, and therefore UK, Europe, Asia, South America, you name it. Okay. ATC is going to be for US only. Okay. It could also be non-US, but the reason why I said US only is because US regulation has limitations when it comes to leverage, first in, first out, things like that. And therefore, brokerage account for Forex outside of the US normally has benefits from a flexibility for the trader. Okay, now careful with brokers as well, because you open an account in a place with a broker that is not regulated. I mean, we don't have time to talk about brokers today, but just keep that in mind, that a broker could be a source of big problems. Okay, so why am I pointing at AXI and ATC? Okay, and who are those guys first? Okay, so let me show you AXI first. So, okay, tradewithufos.com/AXI. So this will bring you up to a page, okay, just like earlier. Okay, notice how you have a special code on the top. Okay, you have a special code on the top. Okay, and you want to use that special code. Okay, because if you open an account with AXI Trader with that code, what's the beauty? The beauty for non-US is that you get something that AXI calls loss cover insurance. So what does that mean? And by the way, again, make sure you understand this is at the time at which I am conducting the session. If you're watching this 2 years from now, it may not be the case, okay? But at this moment in time, AXI has a program for our app users, okay, for our community, where if you open an account with them, they will activate a loss cover insurance, which basically means that you open an account, let's say, for example, with, I'm just going to pick a round number, let's say $1,000, okay? And they will activate a 20% loss cover insurance. 20% of 1,000 is what? Is $200. So what does that mean? It means that in the initial 30 days of your trading, okay, so during 30 days, okay, starting on the day where you take your first trade with real money, so during 30 days, all the losses you took during those 30 days, up to $200, they will cash you back those losses after 30 days. So let's say you have been trading in that first month and you lost $150. So after 30 days, you will get a cash back in your account of $150. So in other words, you keep the profits, but you don't keep the losses, okay? That's a great help from the broker in those early stages if you were to be new. Now, let's say you took $300 in losses. Well, they will cash you back only $200, not $300. Okay, and notice I said cash back. I didn't say bonus or buying power. It's real money, meaning that you can withdraw that money afterwards. Okay, so it's a great benefit for our community traders, and that's available for customers that can prove residency outside of the US. Now, if you cannot prove residency outside of the US, then instead of AXI Trader, you can use tradewithufos.com/ATC89. Okay, or I'm gonna open it in the other window, Trade with UFOs ATC 233. Okay, so ATC Brokers is the name of the broker. That's a US company. Okay, it's a US broker. Because I am in Asia, by default, it went to Cayman Islands. Okay, but that's because they have a company in the Cayman Islands too, as well as in the UK. But that's because I am in Asia. Okay, so if you were to be in the US, it's gonna look like that. It's gonna look like not like that. You're gonna have it automatically. I don't know the URL by heart. Okay, but anyway, you will have a similar page. Okay, where you will be able to select US from the list, and it's gonna work. Okay, in my case, because I am in Asia, it shows differently. Okay, but in your case, you will be able to select US, and it's not gonna show KY. It's gonna show US. Okay, so you can open a US account with a ATC broker, and if you use the link with the ending ATC, if you use the link with the ending ATC 89, so what happens is that after 20 lots of trading, they will cash you back $89. If you use the ATC 233 after 50 lots, they will cash you back $233. Okay, so that's a nice benefit to have, and now you know. Okay, good question, Leslie. Hopefully that that goes well. Okay, and maybe one day we should do a session so I can talk more about brokers, more specifically, and why within our company we are partnering with those two companies at the moment. And we understand they do a good job. Okay, so why? Because there are many things when it comes to brokers, when it comes to regulation, execution. Are the ECNs? Are the not ECNs? Etc. Etc. What is the liquidity pool they have accessible to? Who is the custodian? Are the accounts segregated or not? So there is a lot of things to be discussed. That would be the subject of a different session. Okay, but this is the short answer to your question. Leslie, maybe not so short, but I made it as short as I could. Okay, Bojan, Jose, how do you have your chart scaling set up? I always have to keep moving up and down, squish it, expand it, etc. Okay, yeah. So what I do when it comes to scaling, okay, is here on the scaling settings. So I have, okay, I have the scaling to be automatic based on the data range on the screen. Okay, I have expand range to include open order. That's convenient, and also I always add 8% above and below as subgraphs. This helps a lot, to have to shrink and expand the vertical axis. So this normally works pretty well for almost everything. Okay, that's what I do. And then there will be times where I may do something like that, or I may do something like this. Okay, and then you're right. Then it's a mess. So what do? You just click on the little circle arrow here, and the moment you do that, everything goes back to normal, and that's it. Okay, but to avoid many problems like that, okay, so you want to have the settings the way I said. Now, what you have just seen happen is that the moment you act on the vertical axis, TradeStation automatically understands that you want the scaling to go from automatic to fixed. Okay, to automatic to fixed, and it's either you come back to this menu to go back to automatic. Okay, and now everything goes back to normal, or that really depends on how large of a window you have set up, or the size of your monitor and so on. Oh yes, I don't have it in this computer. It's in my other computer. So what I have done on my other computer, let me show you, is that you come to view toolbars. Okay, view toolbars. Not here. Application toolbars, customize. Here we go. So you go to application toolbars, customize. Okay, and what I do is scaling. So you can reset the scaling range. You can have it automatic scaling range, and you can drag this button, for example, and put it here. next to the time frame, for example, right? And now you have a button there where if your chart, get all, distorted, you just click and everything goes back to normal. So that could be a feature that is quite convenient. Okay. And if you change your mind and you want to remove the button, you just go back and then the button is gone. Okay. So yeah, so that's a good practice again. So thank you very much for these apps. It is very useful. Thank you so much, Ahmad. My pleasure. Leslie, very useful. Thanks. Thanks, Gilberto Ramirez. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Bojan. Awesome. Mark, why not center the price on the page? Yeah, that could work too as well. This is certainly another feature that works well. And again, it's very personal, setting. Now you got the price right in the middle, right? But like, for example, when the market has been moving up for a long time, then you have a lot of white space above. So I personally prefer to have my 8% above, 8% below, as I showed you before. And then, I do see a little bit of breathing space above and below, and that makes me happy. But again, it's personal preference, and certainly, Mark, I get your point, and it's certainly a valid setting. Nothing wrong with that. Very good, everybody. So I think we are done for today. Yeah, I think we're done. Super pleasure. Very, very nice, as always, to spend time with you in the Get Together session. So I will see you next week. By the way, there will be a little bit of a change of schedule. If it has not been reflected on the calendar yet, make sure you keep an eye on it, because there will be a little bit of a change of schedule, of course. The ones of you that clicked on the Trade with UFOs membership and you are in our mailing list, you will receive a notification of the right schedule, so you are fine. But if you are not in that list, or for whatever reason you ignore those emails, which could be, we all ignore many emails because we receive tons of emails all, isn't it? So just keep an eye on the schedule, because there will be a change next week. The sessions will take place at 11 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. and there will be also a change of day going from Tuesday to Friday. Just keep that in mind. Okay, guys? Everybody, nice to see you. Thanks for spending some time with me on Sunday. Go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday family time. Take care, everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Pleasure. Bye-bye.